Coco Gauff, Sharapova, and all of tennis royalty lose their minds over Eala'S, the Filipina who just broke Wimbledon. Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn, because center court just witnessed a moment so seismic that even tennis legends couldn't stay quiet. A 21-year-old from the Philippines walked onto the most hallowed court in the sport, stared down the reigning Wimbledon champion, and did the unthinkable. And when the dust settled, it wasn't just fans losing their minds. It was Maria Sharapova. It was Coco Gauff. It was a legendary boxer with 8 world titles to his name. Every single one of them stopped what they were doing to say the same thing: this is a star being born in real time. If you thought Wimbledon couldn't get any more dramatic this year, buckle up, because what happened on Saturday, and what's still unfolding right now, is the kind of story that turns a good tournament into a legendary one. Let's rewind to set the stage properly, because you need to understand exactly how impossible this was supposed to be. Iga Swiatek walked into the 2026 championships as the defending Wimbledon champion. 6 Grand Slam titles. 125 weeks spent as the world's #1 player. Even in a slightly rockier season, she arrived at the All England club still ranked 3rd in the world, still one of the most feared competitors on tour, still very much the woman everyone expected to be lifting trophies deep into the second week. Across the net stood Alexandra Eala'S, the 29th seed, a player who, before this tournament even started, had won just a single Grand Slam main draw match in her entire career. One match. That's it. She had been dumped out in the first round of 4 of her previous 5 majors. On paper, this was supposed to be a coronation for Swiatek, a routine step on her path back toward the trophy. Nobody told Eala'S that. The two had actually crossed paths before, and history was quietly whispering that something strange might be coming. 16 months earlier, at the Miami Open, a teenage Eala'S shocked the tennis world by knocking out Swiatek in the quarterfinals, a result so unexpected it instantly made her a name to watch. Swiatek answered back a few weeks later in Madrid, reasserting control and reminding everyone who was boss. So heading into Wimbledon, the head-to-head sat at 1 win apiece, a rivalry still finding its shape. Nobody, though, could have predicted that their rubber match would happen on the biggest stage in tennis, in the 3rd round of the sport's oldest and most prestigious tournament, with a title defense hanging in the balance. And what a match it turned out to be. The opening set alone lasted 84 minutes, an absolute roller coaster that had the crowd gasping with every single swing of momentum. Swiatek struck first, breaking Eala'S serve with a gorgeous forehand pass to grab an early edge. But Eala'S answered almost instantly, showing off the kind of tactical brilliance you don't expect from someone playing just her second Week 2 appearance ever, breaking right back. The two traded blows like heavyweight boxers, neither willing to give an inch. Eala'S carved out a 5-3 lead and even earned herself a set point, only for Swiatek to summon 3 consecutive forehand winners out of nowhere to save it and level things back up. It kept going like that, point for point, nerve for nerve, all the way to a 6-all deadlock and a tiebreak that will be talked about for years. That tiebreak was pure theater. Eala'S raced out to a 5-2 lead, looking every bit like she was about to steal the set. Then Swiatek, refusing to go quietly, ripped off 4 points in a row to grab a set point of her own at 6-5. This is usually the moment where the plucky underdog folds, where the seasoned champion's experience takes over and the crowd's hopes get crushed. Instead, Eala'S saved it. Then she saved another. The two traded blow after blow until it was 9-all, both players standing on a knife's edge, the entire stadium holding its breath. And then, on the biggest point of the match so far, Eala'S produced a 20-shot rally for the ages, absolutely refusing to blink, until Swiatek finally netted a forehand down the line. set to Eala'S 7-6, after an 84-minute war that had already given Wimbledon one of its finest sets of the entire fortnight. If you thought the drama would settle down in the second set, think again, because Eala'S didn't just win it, she obliterated it. She came out swinging immediately, breaking Swiatek's famously dangerous serve in the opening game, then again in the third, building a stunning 4-love lead before Swiatek even knew what hit her. The champion tried to fight her way back into it, chipping the deficit down to 4-2 with a much-needed hold, but by then the momentum had completely shifted. Eala'S kept her foot on the gas, closing out the match on her third match point after surviving 4 separate breakpoints in a tense finishing game that had center court screaming with every single shot. When the final ball landed out of Swiatek's racket, Eala'S dropped straight to her knees, both hands pressed to her face, sobbing tears of pure disbelief in front of a standing, roaring crowd. Final score, 7-6, 6-2. Two hours and 15 minutes of tennis that instantly rewrote the storyline of this entire tournament. What happened next might be even more unforgettable than the match itself. In her on-court interview, still catching her breath, still visibly shaking, Eala'S tried to put into words what this moment meant to her, and she barely made it through a sentence before breaking down again. She said she felt overwhelmed with emotion, explaining that for a champion who has won as many majors as Swiatek, or a legend like Serena or Venus Williams, a win like this might not seem like such a huge deal. But for a girl who grew up in the Philippines, this was everything. She couldn't even finish the thought before the tears took over completely, and honestly, watching it back, you'd have to have a heart of stone not to feel something. This wasn't manufactured emotion for the cameras. This was a young woman experiencing, in real time, the realization that everything she had sacrificed for was finally paying off on the grandest stage tennis has to offer. Because make no mistake, this achievement is genuinely historic. Eala'S became the first Filipina in the Open era to ever reach the third round of a Grand Slam, and now, with this win, the first to ever make it into the second week of a major tournament, period. An entire nation, one that has never before had a tennis player go this deep at a slam, suddenly had a reason to stay up late and watch center court with their hearts in their throats. She spoke about it afterward too, dedicating the moment to the Filipino fans, to her family, and, in a line that instantly went viral back home, to every little girl out there with ruffled socks and chubby cheeks who might now believe that this dream is actually possible for them too. If you're not getting a little emotional reading this, you clearly haven't watched the clip yet, and trust me, you should. Now here's where the story kicks into an entirely different gear, because it wasn't just fans and pundits reacting to this fairy tale. The tennis world's biggest names lined up to shower Eala'S with praise, and honestly, some of these reactions hit just as hard as the match itself. First up, Maria Sharapova. If that name means nothing special to you, let it sink in for a second. 5 Grand Slam titles, an all-time great, an icon of the sport. And it turns out she isn't just a random admirer either. Eala'S has openly said in the past that while she looked up to plenty of players growing up, Sharapova was her absolute idol, the poster on the wall, the dream to chase. So when Sharapova personally left a comment under a celebratory post of Eala'S victory, calling her, in just 2 simple words, a star, it landed like a lightning bolt. Imagine working your entire life toward a dream, finally achieving something historic, and then having the exact person who inspired you as a kid show up in your comment section to co-sign the moment. That's not just a nice gesture. That's poetic. Sharapova wasn't alone. Coco Gauff, the 2-time Grand Slam champion and one of the most recognizable faces in tennis today, jumped straight into the comments too, dropping a heart-eyed emoji that fans instantly picked apart and celebrated as a genuine show of respect from one of Eala'S peers. And it's worth noting, these two aren't strangers to each other on court either, having crossed paths this season already, so this wasn't some distant, obligatory gesture. This was a fellow competitor tipping her cap. Then there was Eala'S, a close friend of Eala'S on tour, who couldn't hold it together at all, writing that the moment was making her tear up before adding, almost breathlessly, that she was crying and simply couldn't believe what she'd just watched. And if all of that wasn't enough to prove just how far this story traveled, boxing legend Manny Pacquiao, arguably the most famous athlete his country has ever produced, jumped into the comments as well, posting a Filipino flag alongside a pair of raised hands in celebration. When your win has an 8-division world boxing champion publicly celebrating you online, you know you've done something that transcends your own sport entirely. Let's talk numbers for a second, because the tennis nerds among you deserve the full breakdown of just how good this performance actually was. Eala won a staggering 74 points to Swiatek's 54 across the entire match. She converted 5 of her 7 breakpoint opportunities while somehow surviving 8 of the 11 breakpoints Swiatek threw at her, a defensive stat that tells you everything about her nerve under pressure. She dominated the second serve return battle too, winning 68% of the points when Swiatek was forced to hit a second serve, an almost absurd number against a former world number 1. Swiatek, by contrast, finished the match with 27 unforced errors in the first set alone and covered over 100 meters more ground than Eala across the 2 sets, visibly wearing down as Eala just kept dictating play from the baseline. This wasn't a lucky day. This wasn't Swiatek simply having an off match. This was a calculated, aggressive, ruthlessly efficient performance from a player who looked like she belonged on that court from the very first point. And here's the twist that makes this whole storyline even juicier. This rise didn't come out of nowhere, even if it feels that way to casual fans just tuning in now. Eala started this year ranked as low as 140th in the world. 140th. Fast forward barely over a year, and she is now projected to crack the top 30 for the first time in her career. She arrived at Wimbledon already riding a hot streak on grass, having knocked out the likes of Elena Rybakina and Elena Svitolina during the build-up to the tournament, with 12 wins in her last 15 matches on the surface heading into the fortnight. This win over Swiatek now marks her 7th career victory over a top 10 opponent, a number that should silence anyone still calling this a fluke. Eala herself, when asked about her mentality in the biggest moments of the match, said something that perfectly captures why she's succeeding right now. She explained that once she sees an opportunity, she doesn't overthink it, she just goes for it, trusting instinct over hesitation. That kind of fearless clarity is exactly why the entire locker room is suddenly paying very close attention to her. Meanwhile, spare a thought for Swiatek, because this loss stings in more ways than one. As the defending champion, she now exits the tournament having surrendered a massive 1,870 ranking points, a blow that could see her tumble outside the world's top 10 for the first time in years. She was gracious in defeat, admitting afterward that Eala simply played with more courage in the biggest moments, and that in the decisive tiebreak, both players had chances to seal it, but the ball just didn't bounce her way. It's a brutally honest, sporting response from a true champion, but it doesn't change the reality. Her Wimbledon title defense is over, and the tennis world's attention has shifted entirely to the woman who beat her. So what happens now? Well, this is where things get even more electric, because Eala's fairy tale run doesn't stop here. Her reward for dethroning a 6-time Grand Slam champion is a date with Jasmine Paolini, the 13th seed and a 2-time Grand Slam finalist who knows exactly what it takes to go deep in this tournament, having reached the Wimbledon final herself just 2 years ago. This is no gentle path to the quarterfinals. Paolini arrives full of grass court pedigree and composure, having dropped just a single set through her first 3 rounds this year, including a comfortable win over Maria Sharapova in barely an hour. But here's the twist that has fans absolutely buzzing. Eala has already beaten Paolini once this year, taking her down in straight sets back in February at the Dubai Championships, 6-1, 7-6. Paolini herself has publicly admitted that she's wary of facing Eala again, acknowledging that Eala's flat, aggressive, left-handed game translates beautifully onto grass, and that this rematch could be even tougher than their first meeting. Think about the psychological weight sitting on both sides of the net for this one.
Magdalene, you know how tough she can be. Other than this incredible crowd, what do you think got you over the finish line?
Oh, I think patience was A very key aspect.
Eala walks in with belief through the roof, having just detonated a bomb on the defending champion's title hopes, carrying an entire nation's hopes into every match she plays now. But Paolini brings big match experience that Eala simply doesn't have yet, someone who has actually stood on this exact court in a Wimbledon final and knows what it takes to grind through the tighter, lower bouncing rallies that grass produces when nerves are at their highest. It's the classic clash of red-hot momentum against battle-tested composure, and honestly, nobody watching this tournament right now can confidently predict how it ends. That's exactly why you need to stay locked in, because whichever way it goes, it's going to be must-watch tennis. And let's zoom out for a moment, because this entire fortnight at Wimbledon has been an upset factory, which only adds fuel to the idea that literally anything could happen from here. Just an hour before Eala'S win over Swiatek, former champion Elena Rybakina was sent packing by 25th seed Eala'S Mertens, another shockwave running through the draw on the very same day. The women's side of this tournament has been absolutely littered with chaos, and Eala'S win over Swiatek might end up being remembered as the moment that cracked the entire tournament wide open. If the draw keeps breaking this way, there's a very real conversation to be had about Eala not just reaching a quarterfinal, but potentially going even further, and if that happens, we are talking about one of the greatest underdog stories in the history of this tournament. Here's the thing that makes this story so much bigger than just one tennis match, though. This is about representation. This is about a country watching, many for the very first time, one of their own compete deep into the second week of the most prestigious tournament in the sport. It's about a 21-year-old who once trained after school with her brother and her grandfather, wearing ruffled socks, dreaming of moments like this, now living them out in front of the entire tennis world. It's about legends like Maria Sharapova, someone Eala worshipped as a child, taking the time to personally acknowledge her rise. It's about Coco Gauff, one of the faces of the sport's next generation, publicly showing love to a rising peer. And it's about a boxing icon like Manny Pacquiao proving that this moment reached so far beyond the boundaries of tennis that it became a genuine national celebration. So here's where we leave you, tennis fans, because this story is very much still being written. Eala has already given us one of the most emotional, most historic wins of this entire Wimbledon fortnight. And the tennis world's biggest names have made it very clear they believe this is only the beginning for her. Whether she can back it up against the battle-hardened Paolini and push even further into this tournament remains one of the most exciting subplots left in the entire championships. One thing is for certain, nobody is sleeping on Eala anymore. If this story got your heart racing even half as much as it got ours, do us a massive favor. Smash that like button so this incredible underdog story reaches even more fans who need to hear it. Drop a comment down below and let us know who you think comes out on top in this next Eala showdown, and while you're at it, tell us which legend's reaction shocked you the most, because we genuinely cannot get over Sharapova calling her a star. And if you love getting the most dramatic, most in-depth tennis storylines delivered straight to you like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because trust us, with a run like this unfolding, you do not want to miss what happens next. This is Court Vision Plus, and we'll see you in the next one.